Dr. Akiva Gunwell-Belk, Dean of Jewish Studies at the Nanook Torah Institute, LLC. Welcome to Eve of Creation Restored. We're in the introduction. This is introduction part 2. Now, dear ones, this is our textbook, Eve of Creation, and you can pick a copy up. We're not hurrying through this particular book. We're taking our time, and our goal is to improve relationships between husbands and wives, and our goal is to help individuals who are looking for their mate, their soulmate, their shirt, to be able to recognize when they have found that special, beautiful person. And our goal is to encourage those who have suffered a loss of a mate, a widow or widower, or an individual who has unfortunately gone through a Jewish divorce. There's hope, and there is a soulmate out there for you. One of the things that I share with individuals is Jacob. He had 4 wives, and each one of them you have to say is a soulmate, because there's 12 tribes of Israel, and those 12 sons came from his 4 wives. Cain, he was born with a twin sister. That was his soulmate. Abel, Hevel, was born with 2 twin sisters. Both of them were his soulmate. So, dear ones, if you have had the struggle in life of having to go through a divorce, it's not pretty, it's not fun, it's not enjoyable, but there's hope. Don't be down and out. There's hope. Sometimes at places in our lives, we need the inspiration of a particular type of individual. The Torah teaches us, our sages say that the word Ezer, which is helpmate, also means opposite of him. And so sometimes, like for example myself, I was young and I was rambunctious and I was a challenging individual. Not to say that I'm still not a challenging individual, but it takes a particular type of individual to help sand off those very rough and grind off those very rough corners. We look at divorce as sometimes an evil thing, as a bad thing. We have the attorney fees. We have all the things that go through it. It's not pleasant for children. I'm not going to suggest that it is. Yet, the issue is we're trying to improve. We're trying to be better people. And to be a better person, it requires a soulmate that can help us meet that challenge. And so perhaps in a lifetime, one might actually come into contact with several different soulmates. When we were discussing in our last video, we were saying that the word Ish Yodea, which is the gematria of 395, it means a man of knowledge. And we were saying Lachat Shechil, which is the path to wisdom. They are both descriptions of Asaph. We know Asaph was a Rasha, he was an evil man, he was a vile man. And we know that even this type of man needs a special wife. Our sages teach that Yaakov, the brother, Jacob, the brother of Asaph, hid Dinah, his daughter, from Asaph. And the sages say that he didn't want Dinah, his daughter, to marry such an evil and vile man. Yet, our sages also say that she was the perfect solution for Asaph. That had he met Dinah and married her, it would have changed his life. He would have been an entirely different person. Dear ones, men and women, husbands and wives, when that niche is right, they'll do so much for each other. You can come from a really difficult, strange, challenging relationship, and then you can find an individual that's just, so to speak, God willing, heaven on earth, come apart. And you'll do anything you can for this individual that's just perfect. On the other hand, though, the relationship that wasn't so perfect, that was so difficult, was still good for the individual, because we all have these areas that need work. And sometimes we're resistant. I know myself, I have been very resistant at times in my life to change. And it takes that hard, sanding, grinding, chiseling, God help us get out of harm, to change us. We have to be the kind of people that God wants us to be. Now, having said that we need to be the kind of people that God wants us to be, we come to the words Ish Sadeh, which means a man of the field, and we have Tehorato, Teherot, which means pure and clean. The gematria of each of these words is 620. The point is that even though Asaph is referred to as Ish Sadeh, which means a man of the field, he, mystically speaking, had the ability to be Teherot, which is a man of purity, a man that has been cleansed of his evil and of his impurities and the bad things in his life. So, ladies have this power. The power that can nudge us to do the right things, the power that can drive us kind of away. But what we want to recognize, putting that aside, what we want to recognize is, in gematria, there's the gematria Yetzer Tov and the gematria Yetzer Ra, the good inclination and the evil inclination. Mystically speaking, we can recognize that we have the potential to go either way. And that's really a choice. God has made us free agents. We have the opportunity to choose. And so when we're talking in terms of Eve of creation restored, we're talking about, well, how do I restore my relationship with a former mate that I haven't done well with? How do I restore my relationship with my husband that I haven't done well with, or my former husband that I haven't done well with? How do I, well, you know what, first off, if you're Jewish, the sages say that a get, the way that it's spelled, that they're opposite ends, that you just really never have any contact in the future, that it's over. You don't go to the same supermarkets, you don't go to the same gas stations, you don't go to the same congregation. It's over. And so get is very final. However, we also know in our world today of modern conveniences that you are going to, you have children, you're going to be required to interact, you're going to be required to have discussions and try to work through issues and help the children. And so this is the kind of thing, God willing, if you're not married, you don't want to have to face. And this is the kind of thing, if you're widowed, you don't want to have to face if you marry again. This is the kind of thing that if you've been there and you've done that and you're divorced and you have a couple of children, you don't want to wrap your life around another situation like the one you just left. So, we have to realize that there's possibilities. There's lots of possibilities. And these possibilities honestly depend upon us. They depend upon how we react, what we say, what we do. You know, it's not right for a man to come home and to just go in and plop his behind down on the couch and kick back. Sure, he's tired. Sure, he's worked hard. What about his poor wife? What about his darling wife. The lady that he loved so much that he married and that he gave his beautiful ring to, and he deeply loves, and the mother of his children. You know, men, we have to have that seichel, that wisdom. We need to have that wisdom to understand that relationships can drift from where they originally started. And we need that, Derek HaTorah to bring us right back onto the path of being the kind of husband that we need to be. This means husbands got to take their turns in changing diapers. And husbands got to take their turns in helping the wife with the children. No matter how important we are, no matter how great our responsibilities are, we have to take our turn. Look, men, there's dishes in the sink, and it's not your wife's job to go in there and clean all those dishes up. You can go in there and offer a helping hand. The vacuum of the floor, it's not your wife's responsibility. Go in there and the laundry. Help out with the laundry. Look, a wife is drawn to a man who loves her. And he shows his love not by just giving chocolates and not by just providing roses. That becomes superfluous after a while. And the kind of thing that a wife needs is a man that says, honey, you go in there and you lie down and let me do some of this housework. Oh, you might feel like you're absolutely beat to smithereens. But that's what you have to do. That's what a lady needs in her life, is a man who's tender and compassionate to her. So I was going to call this discussion the report card. Because, I was a little kid, I went to school, and then every so many weeks they would send this report card home with you, and I always dreaded report card day. I wasn't the best student, and I was rambunctious. Oh my, it seemed like a day, that you just want to hide and get underneath the bed or something, because it was not the best day. But men, we have to look at the situation. In a week, you go 3 times 7 is 21. The wife is preparing perhaps 21 meals in a week. How many of those do we prepare? How many of those do we help out in? What about the dishes? And what about the laundry? How many times the laundry have to be done? These are things that men need to participate in. We don't want to act like we're above these things. This is a relationship. A relationship is when 2 people work hand in hand, glove in glove, together. I had a wonderful, beautiful rabbi, Rabbi Yaakov Meyer. He's the Rav of Aish HaTorah in Colorado. And I'll never forget, before he was the Rav, he was the director of the outreach program for Yeshiva Torres Chaim. And I owe my life to this man and to a couple of other rabbis who helped find me out there when I was so lost. God help us. But Baruch Hashem, I remember one Shabbat when I lived in the Jewish community, and he lived there. Eventually, I became his neighbor. I bought the house across the street. But anyway, when I lived a little bit further away, he invited me for a Shabbat meal, and I arrived there. Oh my gosh, it didn't even look like Sabbath was there. The house was kind of torn up, and the table wasn't set. He goes, Kiva, he says, help me. He says, my wife has had such a difficult night. The little baby, they had a little baby and a few other children, kept her up all night. It's teething, it's so difficult, on and on and on. So we got the tablecloth out, we set it out, they put the plates out, the cups, the glasses, the silverware, picked up around a little bit, not on Shabbat, just a little tidying up slightly. And then his wife came out, she got a few things out, and we had a beautiful Shabbat meal. But the point is that sensitivity, that kindness, that understanding of, hey, this is not my wife's responsibility. A great rabbi like this, who is so kind and so sensitive and so understanding, this is the kind of rabbis we need in our world, Baruch Hashem. So, dear ones, when we're talking about the difference between being a man of the field, which is kind of coarse and kind of gruff and kind of less compassionate perhaps, that's a concept that we have here. It's not to say that farmers are not kind people. My family are a bunch of farmers. My wife's family is a bunch of farmers. They're good people. They're very good people. However, we understand that the word for pureness and cleanness is also there. And so while we have this possibility to be out in the field and working there, we also have the possibility of being this holy and pure and very sanctified individual. The two can work together. The two can come together. The two can mystically mesh together. And so when we're looking for a mate, when we're looking for happiness in our life, when we're looking to restore Eve of creation, it's really important not to just work at trying to find a mate, but then when you find someone that you think is the right individual, do your investigation, check into it, find out about the person, do due diligence. Don't just get lollygagged and just no. There's no such thing as falling in love. You work to become a husband and a wife, and to be lovers, and to be partners in a relationship. There's no falling in love. Trip, stumble, and fall. Oh, God help us, Kananahara. The point is that you lay the foundation work. You do your investigation up front. You check into this person. You check into their life, their background. You make decisions based upon wise investigation. And then when you marry an individual, you make sure they have that same kind of commitment in their heart, and that they're dedicated to doing that. And then the report card. Men, we have to grade ourselves every week. We have to grade ourselves every month. We have to grade ourselves all the time. Are we doing the kind of job that we need to do? Now, of course, ladies, I know that you are always grading yourselves, and I know that you're always conscious of being the right kind of wife. I mean, my gosh, on Shabbat, you make yourself beautiful for your husbands. You prepare these wonderful Shabbat meals. And so I know that, God willing, that the ladies, that they're on board with this. And so we have to work together. It's not him against her or her against him. It's us being a team. It's us working together. It's us trying to construct and to build a right relationship. And to build that right relationship takes two people. It's not one person's job alone. It's two people's job. And so we both have to give and take and work to make our relationships the very best. Thank you for joining with me.